California just became the first state in the nation last week to issue a phase out of gas-powered vehicles. More specifically, on Thursday, August 25th, the California Air Resources Board issued out a ban on any new gas-powered vehicles by 2035, requiring all new cars to either run on electricity or hydrogen. How? Well, the Clean Air Act allows California to enact emission standards under a waiver granted by the US EPA, or Environmental Protection Agency. Other states can adopt California's emission standards without government approval as long as they are identical. According to the California Air Resources Board, today 12% of California's vehicle sales are electric. Now the ban wants 35% to be electric by 2026, 68% by 2030, and 100% by 2035. Now for the important stuff about the ban. So really there's only 4 things to note. The first one being that automakers won't be able to sell any passenger vehicles that emit greenhouse gases by 2035. This includes trucks, cars, pickup trucks, and regular trucks. Number 2, if you own a gas car prior to this date, then you're in the clear. The third thing being you can buy or sell any used gas-powered vehicles after 2035. The ban only accounts for new gas-powered vehicles. And lastly, if automakers fail to comply with the standards set for each milestone year for EV sales, they could possibly face a $20,000 fine per vehicle sold in violation of these standards. As you can imagine, this has sparked so much attention. Washington State's Governor Jay Inslee called California's ban a critical milestone in our climate fight and is ready to adopt the same ban by the end of the year. Oregon's Department of Environmental Quality stated, Oregon is moving forward with a proposed rule similar to California's Advanced Clean Cars 2 regulation. End quote. This proposed rule from Oregon would only transition light-powered vehicles to electric by 2035, meaning passenger vehicles only. New York was actually already ahead of the curve on this one, signing a bill into law that sets a target to have 100% of passenger vehicles sold in the state to emit zero emissions by 2035. And here's a cool chart from CNBC that I found showing all of the other states that are supporting California in this move to ban gas-powered vehicles. Part of me wants to believe that whenever these types of things are announced, that it's out of the goodness of the state's hearts and they want to make the world a better place. However, the other part of me always feels that may be a little naive. Why is 2035 such a popular date? And are we really getting the full story? So I went to work discovering the real truth about this ban and what all of it entails, and ultimately why all of a sudden California decided to announce this. So let's jump right into it. You see, the only reason that California is able to put out this ban is because of a waiver given to them back in 1970. So California was unable to meet the emission standards set by the federal government at the time, and this ultimately led to a lawsuit. So you have the Clean Air Act and you had California's exemption, which was kind of like the fine print at the bottom of a terms of use document. So under the Clean Air Act, the federal government provides the state's scientific research, expert studies, engineering designs, and money to support clean air programs. The law also prevents states from setting standards that are more strict than the federal standards, except for California due to its past issues with smog pollution in the metropolitan areas. Therefore, when California's environmental agencies decide on new vehicle emission standards, they are submitted to the federal government under this waiver, with this emission ban being the newest since 2009. The quote, California standard was adopted by 12 other states and ultimately became the de facto standard for automobile manufacturers because they didn't want to have different emission systems for their vehicles in different parts of the country. However, in September of 2019, President Trump attempted to revoke this waiver, arguing that the stricter emissions made cars too expensive and by removing them would make the vehicles safer. EPA's Andrew Wheeler felt the same, saying that the US could not allow one state to dictate standards for the entire nation. So then California's Governor Gavin Newsom banded together with 23 other states, including Los Angeles and New York City and the District of Columbia, to challenge the federal government's decision with a lawsuit. It was clear at the time that the country was in favor of California's special power. Fast forward to today and you gotta ask yourself, will auto manufacturers continue to use California's environmental policy to drive the future of the personal vehicle? Well, I have the real truth to that answer. But if you needed any more proof that the electric vehicle was here to stay, California's emissions ban, along with President Biden just last week announcing the Inflation Reduction Act, should be more than enough. The real and the whole truth is, OEMs or automobile manufacturers have been working towards the future of EV for some time. much before California made it cool with all the news going out about having a fully electric traffic. In the white paper by Stone Eagle, GM states that Cadillac will be exclusively electric by 2030. Ford committed to $22 billion in electrifying its lineup to take on Tesla. Nissan and Volkswagen are expecting half of their lineup to be EV by 2030. You see, the 2035 date can be viewed in some sense as no more than elected officials trying to garner attention and more support from the public. Because OEMs are already aware of a beast of a market that Tesla is currently dominating. Tesla's market cap is $672 billion, approximately 75% of the combined market cap for all other OEMs put together. So there is a necessity for these OEMs to tap into this market or get left behind. And the data never lies. These manufacturers have been aware, and you should too. If you take a look at this chart by Stone Eagle, VSC penetration, which is vehicle service contracts for EVs, has nearly doubled since 2019, while gas engines have only grown by 6 points in the same time period. This other chart shows per vehicle returns, or PVR. Overall, PVR has already passed the inflection point, with EVs surpassing gas engines by roughly $80 per deal at this time. So manufacturers have already been looking at this data and been pivoting for years. And while it sounds very nice that the entire industry is pivoting towards EV, according to Kelley Blue Book, EVs on average are selling for $66,000. So the momentum shift towards 100% electric vehicles will affect you. And now that you have the entire truth, here's what you should do. Don't buy any cars. There is a bit of uncertainty that comes along with this increased focus on EVs. The success of this transition to a 100% electric vehicle world will ultimately depend on two things. You, the consumer, embracing the idea of EVs, and two, the automobile manufacturers other than Tesla being able to ramp up production to supply cheaper alternatives for the average consumer. This could prove much more challenging than the goal of 2035. What are your thoughts on the California ban? With the past support of other states following California's emission standards, do you feel that we will be ready for a full EV world by 2035? If manufacturers are able to ramp up production and satisfy demand, then we will see prices go lower. If the other states continue to back California like they've done in the past, I can see one of two things happening. The first being that the larger market would push down the price of EVs, because now manufacturers are able to decrease their vehicle diversity lineup because they don't have to support differing standards. This, I feel, would lead to a lot more hybrids coming out, and ultimately those hybrids transitioning into fully electric over time. Or it could go the other way, with prices moving higher because of bottlenecks in production and supply chain issues like what's happening right now. The high level of uncertainty in either direction, for me at least, is enough to go purchase a car if I absolutely needed one right now. And for someone else, I think it's still important to assess where your finances are, but I still think that you should only go purchase a car if you need one, rather than it just being because it'd be nice to have. Supply and demand will always drive these things in the end. But there is no doubt about it that Tesla is well positioned currently to lead the charge. Thanks for watching.